Welcome back, dear listeners, to another tale that illuminates the power of resilience and the will to shine even in the darkest of times. Today, I share with you a story about a humble candle that stood against the might of the wind. A tale that speaks to the strength we all have within us to keep going, no matter how fierce the storm may be. It's a story that reminds us that even the smallest light can drive away the deepest darkness, and that true strength is not about never flickering, but about refusing to go out. As you listen, I invite you to reflect on your own experiences, times when you've had to fight to keep your inner light alive, and the strength you discovered along the way. On a lonely hill overlooking a quiet village, there stood an old lighthouse. It was not the grandest of lighthouses, its walls were weathered, its paint faded, and its windows often creaked in the wind. But to the villagers below, it was a beacon of hope, a guiding light that kept the dangers of the sea at bay. And within this lighthouse, there was a single candle that had burned for many years. The candle was small and unassuming, its wax worn down from countless nights of service. It had been lit by the lighthouse keeper long ago, placed in a special lantern at the top of the tower. Though it seemed fragile, its flame had shone brightly through storms and calm nights alike, casting a comforting glow over the dark waters below. One evening, as a heavy storm began to brew on the horizon, the lighthouse keeper climbed to the top of the tower. He checked the candle, adjusting its position in the lantern, and whispered softly, "Tonight will be a difficult one. The winds will howl, and the rain will pour. But I believe in you, little candle. You've guided many sailors safely through these waters. Stay strong, and keep shining." The candle flickered gently, its flame dancing as if acknowledging the keeper's words. The lighthouse keeper nodded and stepped back, his gaze lingering on the small flame before he descended the stairs. The storm was approaching fast, and he knew that it would test the candle's endurance like never before. As the night deepened, the storm arrived in full force. The wind roared like a wild beast, rattling the windows and shaking the lighthouse to its very foundation. Rain lashed against the glass panes, and the waves crashed violently against the rocks below, sending sprays of salt water high into the air. Inside the lantern, the candle's flame trembled, its light flickering wildly. The wind howled and whistled through the gaps in the window frames, swirling around the lantern in angry gusts. Each blast of wind threatened to snuff out the flame, causing it to waver dangerously. But the candle refused to give in. It leaned into the wind, its flame bending but not breaking. It flickered, yes, but it did not go out. As the storm raged on, the candle's struggle became more intense. The wind seemed determined to extinguish its light, battering the small flame again and again. At times, the flame shrank to the barest of glows, just a tiny ember struggling to hold on. But each time, the candle found the strength to reignite, its flame swelling back to life with renewed determination. The candle knew its purpose: to guide, to light the way, to bring hope to those lost in the dark. It thought of the sailors out at sea, their ships tossed by the storm, their eyes straining through the rain and mist to catch a glimpse of the lighthouse's glow. Without that light, they would be lost, their paths obscured by the treacherous waves and jagged rocks. The candle couldn't bear the thought of failing them, of leaving them to face the storm alone. "I may be small," the candle whispered to itself, its flame shivering as another fierce gust swept through the lantern. "But I am not weak. I have a purpose, and I will not go out. Not tonight." With every ounce of strength it had, the candle fought to stay lit. It focused on its flame, willing it to shine brighter, to push back against the darkness that threatened to consume it. The wind howled in defiance, swirling around the lantern with renewed fury. But the candle stood firm, its flame blazing stubbornly against the storm. Hours passed, and the storm showed no sign of letting up. The lighthouse keeper, huddled below, listened to the wind's relentless assault and prayed that the little candle would hold on. He knew how much depended on that tiny flame, how many lives were counting on its light. He had seen the candle's strength before, but this storm was fiercer than any he could remember. Up in the tower, the candle's struggle continued. Its wax melted rapidly under the strain, pulling at the base of the lantern. The wind, sensing the candle's weariness, whipped through the gaps in the windows, clawing at the flame with icy fingers. The flame shrank, flickering wildly, as if teetering on the edge of extinction. But just as it seemed the candle's light would be snuffed out, a surge of determination welled up within it. The candle thought of all the nights it had stood watch, of all the storms it had faced and survived. It thought of the sailors and the villagers who relied on its light, and of the promise it had made to itself to never give up, no matter how strong the storm. "I am not just a candle," it whispered fiercely. "I am a light, and as long as there is breath in me, I will shine." With one final push, the candle's flame flared back to life, burning brighter than it had all night. The wind roared in frustration, slamming against the lighthouse with renewed force. But this time, the candle did not waver. It held its ground, its flame steady and unwavering, defying the storm's fury. As dawn broke and the storm finally began to ease, the lighthouse keeper climbed up to the lantern room, his heart pounding with both hope and fear. When he reached the top and saw the candle still burning, a wave of relief washed over him. The little flame was weak and low, but it was still there, shining bravely through the last remnants of the storm. "You did it," the keeper whispered, his voice choked with emotion. "You stayed lit, you didn't give up." The candle flickered gently in response, its flame tired but triumphant. It had fought against the wind and rain, against the very forces that had tried to extinguish it, and it had won. Its wax was nearly gone, its once tall and proud form reduced to a small stump. But it had fulfilled its purpose. It had kept shining, even when the darkness seemed overwhelming. As the morning sun began to rise, casting its golden light over the sea, the candle felt a sense of peace settle over it. The storm was over, and the ships out at sea were safe. The lighthouse keeper carefully extinguished the flame, letting it rest at last. But the candle's light did not truly go out. Its courage and resilience, its refusal to give up in the face of impossible odds, remained a beacon in the hearts of those who had witnessed its struggle. The lighthouse keeper told the story of the little candle to anyone who would listen, speaking of its unwavering determination and strength. The villagers, too, spoke of the candle's bravery, and the story spread far and wide. People who heard it found themselves inspired by the little flame that had defied the storm. They thought of their own struggles, their own battles against the winds and storms of life. And they found strength in the candle's story, a reminder that even when everything seems against you, even when the darkness is closing in, there is still a light within that can shine through. For the candle had taught them all a powerful lesson: true strength is not about never faltering. It's about refusing to give up, even when you falter. It's about finding the will to keep burning, even when the wind tries to blow you out. It's about understanding that the light within you, no matter how small, has the power to push back the darkness and illuminate the way for others. Years later, long after the candle itself had melted away, its story continued to shine brightly in the hearts of those who remembered it. People would gather in the village square to recount the tale of the candle that refused to burn out, passing it down from generation to generation. Parents would tell it to their children on stormy nights, friends would share it when one of them was feeling low, and sailors would whisper it to each other as they navigated through rough seas. And every time the story was told, it brought with it a message of hope and perseverance, a reminder that even the smallest light can stand against the fiercest storm. That even the most fragile flame can burn with incredible strength when fueled by purpose and determination. So, dear listeners, whenever you find yourself facing a storm in your own life, when the winds of doubt and fear try to blow out your flame, remember the story of the little candle. Remember its courage, its resolve, and its unwavering will to shine. And let it remind you that, no matter how dark it may seem, your light is always worth fighting for. Thank you for joining me in this story of the candle that refused to burn out. If this tale resonated with you, if it reminded you of the strength within you to keep shining through difficult times, I invite you to share your thoughts in the comments below. Let's celebrate the power of perseverance and the incredible resilience of the human spirit. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more stories that inspire, uplift, and remind us all of the light we carry within.